Welcome back. This is Mrs. RRubright with Advanced Geometry. Today's lesson is 10.6, find segment lengths in circles. Alright, so our first example, we are using theorem 10.14. We're finding the length of ML and JK. So as you can see with the work here, what we are simply doing is we are taking the portion of ML times the other part equals the part of KJ times its other portion. So, x plus 2 times x plus 1 equals x times x plus 4. Okay, so once again, this is saying x plus 1 times x plus 2 equals x times x plus 4. And then don't forget that you do have to distribute. So x times x is x squared, x times 4 is 4x. X times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 1 times x is x, 1 times 2 is 2. Combine like terms. When you combine that x and that 2x, you get 3x. Alright, so when you subtract x squared from both sides, they are gone. 4x equals 3x plus 2. Subtract 3x from both sides, and you're going to get x equals 2. Once you have x equals 2, plug back in. 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 1 is 3, 4 plus 3 is a total of 7. 2 and 2 plus 4 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8. So we have 7 and 8 for our lengths. What is the value of x? So on this type, we need to do, so this is the kind where we have our angle on the exterior of the circle, right? So this I call outside times whole equals outside times whole. Outside times whole equals outside times whole. So this would be 4 times the whole length of, what's the whole length? 5 plus 4 is 9. And then this would be 3, and the whole length would be what? X plus 3. So we would have 4 outside times the whole of 9 equals outside times the whole. Distribute. 3x plus 9 equals 36. Subtract 9 from both sides. What is 36 minus 9? 27. 3x is 27. Divide by 3. X is 9. Alright, so using what we just learned about outside times whole equals outside times whole, I want you to pause the video and attempt this problem. Alright, so outside times the whole, 9 plus 6 is 15, equals outside times the whole. Six times 15, well 15 times 2 is 30, so 30, 60, 90. Whoa. I can undo, is it freezing up on me? 90 equals 5x plus, starting to freeze up a little bit, plus 25. Might have to restart this computer later. Alright, so I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. 90 minus 25, 65. Divide by 5. X equals, 5 goes into 65 one time would be with one left over, so that'd be with 15. 5 goes into 15 3 times, right? Because I'm just doing this in my head. 65 divided by 5. 5 goes in there once with 1 left over. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times, so 13. X is 13. Alright, so this is that first rule. 4 times 6 equals x times 3. Part times part equals part times part, right? 4 times 6 equals x times 3. 24 equals 3 times what? Divide by 3 on both sides. 8 equals x. So, once again, since this one, the angle is on the outside, it's outside times whole equals outside times whole. 3 times the whole. The whole is x plus 5. And then the whole on this one, x plus x is 2x. 1 plus negative 1 is 0, so it's just 2x. So outside times whole equals outside times whole. Distribute. 3x plus 15 equals 2x squared plus 2x. Minus 3x, minus 3x, 2x squared minus x, minus 15, minus 15. All right, so now we have a quadratic. You could use the quadratic formula. Check out my video from my daughter on the quadratic formula song. Or you could factor. I like to factor. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. First times third. Negative 15 times 2 is negative 30. You have 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10. Does 4 go in there? No. 5?
Yes.
5 times 6. There's no numbers between them, so as long as you're going in order, you know when you have every single possible factor. Which of these multiplies to negative 30 and adds to negative 1? Negative 6 and positive 5. Write your first term twice without the squared. Put your factors underneath. Reduce if possible. Do 2 and 5 reduce? No. 2 and 6. Does anything go into 2 and 6? 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to rewrite it up here where I have more room. I'd have 2x plus 5 and x minus 3. You guys see how I did that? 2x plus 5, x minus 3. So, zero product property says to set your factors equal to 0 to solve. If I set x plus 3 equal to 0, I would get that x equals 3. If I set this equal to 0, I'd subtract 5 from both sides, then divide by 2 on both sides, so I'd have negative 5 halves. So my answers, my solutions, my x-intercepts, zeros, all that fun stuff when I factor, they're going to be negative 5 halves and 3. If we are dealing with lengths, can you have negative 2/5, or in this case, if I plugged it in here, it'd be negative 1.5. Can you have a negative length? No, you can't. So that means that this is going to be an extraneous solution. It's a solution that's not going to work. So our one and only value of x is going to be 3. Okay, does everyone understand why we had to throw out that negative length? You cannot have a negative length. All right, so our next one. This is the same thing with outside times whole equals outside times whole with one little twist. And that little twist is the fact that this segment is a tangent. So your outside and your whole are the same. 16 outside times the whole equals outside times the whole. X squared plus 8x equals 256. So we have x squared plus 8x minus 256 equals 0. 1 times 256. 2 times what? 128? 3? Does 3 work? No? 4. 4 and 64. 5. Nope, it doesn't end in a 5. 6. No. 7. No. 8 and 32. 9. No. 10 won't work. 11 won't work. 12 doesn't work. 13 doesn't work. 14 doesn't work. 15 doesn't work. 16 squared works. So these are all of our factors because there's no numbers between 16, so we know that we're done. Which of these multiplies to negative 256 and adds to positive 8? Any of them? No? So what do we have to use? The quadratic formula. Please watch my video on my daughter singing the quadratic formula song. It will help you memorize the quadratic formula. And how it goes is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, what is our a? Our a is 1. Our b is 8. And our c is negative 256. So, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, I can't even speak. 8 squared is 64. 64 plus 256 times 4, 1024, plus 64, 1088, negative 8 plus or minus the square root of 1088 all over 2. 1088 is not a perfect square, but I bet 16 goes into it. 16 times 68. Um, 68 divided by 16. No. 68 divided by 4. Yes, 4 and 17. 17 is prime, so we know we're done. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. And square root of 17, there's nothing we can do. So this is going to be negative 8 plus or minus 8 rad 17 all over 2. This can reduce to negative 4 plus or minus 4 rad 17. Negative 4 plus or minus 4 rad 17. So we cannot have negative 4 minus 4 rad 17 because we would have a negative length. So our one and only answer is going to be negative 4 plus 4 rad 17. We're only going to use the positive solution because our length cannot be negative. Find the value of x. All right, so on this one, actually, guys, before we do this problem, I want you to attempt it. I'm going to log off now, though, and we're going to pick back up with part 2 of this lesson, part 2 of 10.6. Please select the second half of this video so we can finish up this lesson. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and continue on with part 2.